Well, welcome everybody, and we're so glad you're here again this week. Or if you're new to this space, welcome for the first time. I am Jan Jarmias, one of your hosts today. I'm an integrative health and wellness coach and author who works with people and their pets to help them overcome health challenges and live healthier lives. And I'm really excited to be back on stage once again this week with my beautiful collaborator, co-host, and dear friend, the amazing and very kind Mary Jane McQueen. So I'll pass it to you, Mary Jane, to tell everyone about yourself.
Thanks, Jen. And as always, I'm honored to be here with all of you today, and along with my beautiful friend Jan Jeremias, who inspires me, of course, every day to shine brightly as the superhero she is. So there you go. Yes, I am Mary Jane or MJ, and I'm the founder of MJ McQueen Creative Studio. And I help entrepreneurs to step into their light and share their gifts authentically, and I help clients to overcome self-doubt, find their voice, and create visuals that align with their mission. Because when we connect with our true selves, of course, we know we connect more deeply with others. So, welcome to the space today.
And so usually as we prepare, Mary Jane and I like go back and forth throughout the week and we meet usually after this on Fridays for next week. And we always like try to decide what poem. And this this week our threads got crossed, but we actually chose the same poem.
Of course, because we're on the same wavelength. That's why.
Exactly. We share that superpower. So, Mary Jane, do you want to share the poem for this week?
Yeah, I definitely will. So it's called I Believe in Superheroes, and it's by, I assume it's InQ, INQ. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to say the poet's name, but I believe in superheroes. So when I think of superheroes, I think of superhumans. I think of Superman, Wolverine, and Wonder Woman. Usually they have a cape or a mask to hide their face, just in case. They have X-ray vision and superhuman strength. Some can even breathe in outer space. They fly around a while, but always come back to keep our city safe. They are here to save humanity from itself. It's a metaphor for how we look outside ourselves for help. And while the fantasies are fun, I choose to look for me and you. We don't need superheroes. We have superpowers too. It starts with being open to this moment. If you do, then you can own it. Besides, it'll be gone before you know it. So don't blow it. You owe it to the second of eternity to show up, embrace the possibilities, and slow up. Take a breath and look around. See the sights and hear the sounds. Feel the ground. Notice how the gravity holds you down. You could be anywhere in the world, and yet you're here. When you accept that choice as your own, you can begin to overcome your fear. And real courage is looking in the mirror. It's deciding what you want to do, then making that appear. It's innovating out of thin air. We must be doing something right if we get scared. Otherwise, we wouldn't care. It's a process to get here to there, here to there. There is no here or there. There's only here. We're on this journey and we're learning, but building muscle means you're going to feel the burning. So don't deny it. Simplify it. Try it. See if it can work for you. Change perspective to get a different view. And don't forget you got to laugh at the truth because sometimes your sense of humor will be the only thing that can pull you through. It's medicine when you can let it in. An attitude of gratitude will bring a positive spin. So even when the storm clouds block the blue from your sky, you remember that the sun is waiting for you on the other side. And having fun is something we must decide from the lows to the highs. It's all part of the ride. I can throw my hands up or I can hold on for dear life. Hold on for dear life. but I'd rather live once than have to go to hell twice. Compassion is my passion. Empathy is my gift, but my growth is incremental as my consciousness shifts. So I create from an abyss, turning pain into gold. I am an alchemist, an optimist, and an authentic soul. I believe that life is good even when it hurts to see. I believe in superpowers, and I believe in you and me. I believe in superheroes, but I don't look for them above because they exist inside us all, and we save the day with love.
I absolutely love that poem. I feel like so many lines of messages that are just like meant for us all to hear.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you had it, pardon me, I'm losing my voice now. If you had a chance to listen to the actual poet say it, but he's won prizes actually for his poetry.
Hmm.
I might pop the link for that actually in our comments on when we post later. He's quite enthusiastic. So I loved hearing him say his words. So it was lovely.
Yeah, there's something about hearing the poet read it sometimes. I tried to do that last week or the week of our workshops with the poem we used by Mary Oliver, and I was just afraid with technical things that it was going to get too complicated, but listening to in their own voice is really beautiful. So, welcome everybody. Once again, we're so grateful you're here. And as we settle into this space together, we invite you to take a deep breath and just arrive for a moment. Leave behind the to-do lists, the expectations, the noise of the world, and bring only your beautiful, authentic self into this moment. Today, we gather around a topic that lives at the very heart of who we are, our superpowers. Not the kind you read about in comic books, but the kind that radiates from your spirit, often unnoticed by you, but deeply felt by others. You might not always recognize it, but your light, the energy you bring into a room, the way you care, create, encourage, listen, or lead is your power. It's your essence, your authenticity, and that's where your superpower lives. Maybe it's your sensitivity, your way of reading a room, sensing what's unspoken, offering comfort before it's requested. Maybe it's your fire, your voice for justice, your persistence, your deep drive to help or heal. Maybe it's your quiet calm, the peace you bring to people just by being present. Whatever it is, your superpower is uniquely yours. It may feel ordinary to you because it comes so naturally, but to someone else, it's extraordinary. And here's the truth: even our greatest gifts can carry edges. Your empathy might sometimes leave you drained. Your clarity might be misread as intensity. Your creativity might feel misunderstood. Your leadership might feel lonely. But that doesn't make your superpower any less powerful. It simply means you're human. And like anything real and authentic, your light comes with layers. The space today is not about becoming something new. It's about recognizing what's already there. It's about seeing your light clearly, honoring it fully, and learning how to use it wisely with love, compassion, and trust. So we invite you to reflect as we move through our time together. What is your superpower? How has it served you? Where has it challenged you? And how can you step more fully into that light with awareness and grace? You don't need a cape. You don't need permission. You don't need to change. You just need to come home to what's already true. And that's your power. That's your superpower.
Beautiful, Jen.
Thank you.
Beautiful reflection for sure. Yeah. So what's my superpower? Well, we had a little bit of the, I think, sort of sparked the conversation last week when we were in there. It's like I realized that I spoke of my own um, challenge when I was finishing up my corporate career, um, and realizing, that I was perpetually being told I was too sensitive, I was too kind, and just realizing, when the restructuring when I happened, and I managed to have some time to reflect on these things, and I realized, no, that's my superpower. My ability to see the best and want the best for people is not a weakness, as I was being told. It's a superpower. It's being able to see what's lying underneath, not just what's on the surface. So that's my story of being. I feel that that's my superpower.
It is. What I thought so interesting is, as I was preparing this weekend, thinking about it, how it's something that we don't even consider like a superpower, that it's something that feels so much a part of us. It seems normal. And in that way, it's sometimes so hard for us to identify because it feels so like, doesn't everybody, you know, isn't everybody kind? We've spoken about that before. Doesn't everybody have or hold space or care about other people in that kind of obvious way of just being natural, like that's just what you do. And I think that often because of that, we don't look at them as superpowers. And I think of one of my superpowers is problem solving. Like I'm really good at looking at something and figuring out what to do. And that has also been like that with all the good it holds. It also constantly makes me look for a reason for something. Like there must be a reason why this is happening. And sometimes it can trap me up or trip me up because I get so almost obsessed with finding out the root cause of something. And so at times it has actually been a negative, but it really is a superpower. Like I have the ability to digest and kind of put things together, like putting a puzzle together. And I love that. And it really is a true gift, I feel. But at times, you know, can actually like be a negative.
Yeah, it's funny how that is, because yeah, um it is funny how that is, especially when, you know, um we tend to analyze, and then we analyze again and analyze again. And so that element of self-doubt, the disbelief that it can just be happening because it's happening, and maybe it has absolutely nothing to do with us at all, if it's a situation, or that's happened, that may have some sort of negative feel to it for us. And sometimes the reason is not ours to know, it's somebody else's to figure out.
Love that. And so true. And I think that, at times that there, especially when you're dealing with relationships with other people, it's not all one-sided. It's one thing to find out a solution to a problem or to problem solve when it's sort of like this concrete thing, so multiple facets. But there's really, it's not directly related to anyone else. It's related to the person in themselves. And when it's a relationship or an interaction where two people are involved, then it's, the dynamic is different, and therefore the root cause is not only whatever's going on with you, it's whatever's going on with them. And so, but at points that, ability to problem solve and to try to get to the bottom of something can be a challenge. Shame it.
Yeah, thanks, Jan, Mary Jane, everyone. Yeah, for me, it's taken a long time to kind of realize or honor, like that word honor. I think, John, that came through our story in the book as well. Like, it's honoring and creating space. And I suppose what I've come to accept now, or see, or discover, is my superpower is the ability to notice. And it might sound simple, but as Brita often says, it's the simple things that are the most profound and powerful. Like, and I suppose that's my superpower now. That because it's a superpower because I've come to experience the power of simply noticing as the basis for everything. Of first of all, noticing not just what's going on around me, but more so noticing what's going on within me. And my superpower is to invite everyone I meet, connect with, know, love, is to create the space. And HeartMath has been a key tool in helping me to kind of cultivate that space. The breath and the power of taking a single breath to connect with heart and to notice how that feels. And I think that's a process that's I'm going to continue to develop myself. And because I know I'm not at the end of fully harnessing the power of noticing, I continue to use that as a key tool in encouraging and inviting everyone I know to develop that part of the repertoire within themselves. Like it's a set of all our key superpowers, I think, is the power to notice. And along with other superpowers, like we all possess and skills and talents and so forth. But for me, this is one of the fundamental ones, certainly in my own experience, is the power that emerges out of simply noticing what's going on within so you can better notice what's going on outside as well and better engage with what's going on outside from that noticing process that begins within.
Beautiful, Seamus. And it is a noticing. And I think that I love what you shared about, beginning within as always, and then looking, then having a better perspective or better idea of what's actually happening outside yourself. Um, I think that that awareness, you need that awareness or that observational skill to be able to recognize your superpower. Maybe that's the base superpower amongst all the other ones that you might possess. And and then maybe it just gets further enhanced or further magnified by your ability to be aware because it's in that awareness that you actually see it. It's in the awareness of observing yourself and noticing yourself and what you do. And then noticing in the way of not like looking for recognition, but noticing what happens with other people, when you're in that state or when you're in that place of, you're resonating with your superpower or you do something and you realize that the impact it has, like that natural thing I mentioned, the thing that's so kind of part of you that you don't even notice. But it's in that noticing that you get to be aware. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool that I do that. Or that comes so natural to me to even, where we're taught, especially that, we shouldn't be boastful and we should be humble. And I think a lot of, depending on how we're brought up, a lot of us downplay our gifts, kind of, we kind of shut them out and kind of compartmentalize them because, in the Jewish faith, if you kind of boast, you're asking for like negative things to happen. It's like you're not supposed to do that, like evil eye kind of stuff. You're just, superstitious kind of things that you're not supposed to be boastful and attract attention to yourself in that way. And that's not why you're recognizing, or I'm talking about superpowers, or we're talking about superpowers here today in this way. It's more just as a recognition of, you know, who you are as a person and all the parts of yourself.
It's so true, Jen, and Seamus, you when you were speaking, you were just reminding me because I know our friend Darlene here, which I'm sure she could speak to more. I mean, one of her favorite phrases is, isn't that curious? So, or something to that effect. She'll have to clarify if I said it wrong, but I love that. It's that noticing, right? It's just paying attention to things, and yeah, it's true. I mean, even for me as a child, right? It's just, yeah, um, just saying was like, well, don't be, yeah, boastful. That's, don't be boastful. But there's nothing wrong with recognizing in yourself something that other people may have called attention to, because there's been, you know, there's times where people, might thank you for doing something, or say you do better than most, or you know the things that you do that other people might, you know you do it without thinking, but other people find a thing, and it's like something that energizes you. And so it's what you were speaking to, Jan, about, just a rig. It's a noticing. And Seamus was talking as well, but a noticing. That doesn't mean you have to just throw it out into the world in people's faces saying, hey, look. But there's nothing wrong with sharing it and saying, hey, this is something I've recognized in myself, because that's how we grow um within our being. So
I love that, Mary Jane, because I think when we are able to actually, let's say, own it, I think Seamus and I and our group and other groups, we talk about the fact that you give permission to people to actually do the same and to actually, maybe share what their gifts are. But I think if we all kind of live too much in fear of, or limit ourselves so much and what we share with other people, then it's very superficial. Like everything is so superficial. And Darlene, please.
Yeah, MJ, you got it almost right. It's in that, hmm, that's curious. And it's the pause of the hmm. Yeah, that hmm sound really does re-regulate everything, right? When you take that moment to pause and just that's curious. And how can I look inwardly with curiosity and non-judgment and factual too, right? There's um, this, it's really hard for people, I find, when, I ask or we have discussions around, so what are your strengths? And a lot of people often, well, are they're at an impasse. Well, there's nothing I really do. I don't, I'm not really, I can do things, but I'm not really good at anything. And there's no ownership there. And I think it's that conversation, I know for me, around when I was younger, I'd say something that I was passionate about, or something that I wanted to try or engage with, or, when I was trying to figure out when I was younger what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wanted to be a teacher, and that was met with, well, you wouldn't want to go down that path because I want to do this. Well, you don't want to go down that path because, so it's that self-doubt is so ingrained for some of us from so long ago that it really is hard to take pride in the things that we do well, and the things that light us up, and the things that make us who we are. And in our strengths there, in our weaknesses, there's always a strength there, right? Was in a training once, and they asked us to rephrase anything that we thought that we heard from participants as a weakness. So somebody said, I'm too quiet, I'm too talkative, and to rephrase it to be just this, your superpower, because that's what makes you you, and trying to remap it in your brain and body and embody it for the gift that it actually is. And it's when you can come to that, when you can take those moments and those pauses, and perhaps support from somebody else to help you realize that it's a gift, and don't dull your light. Don't let that not happen and let the world not see it because you don't think it's something good. There's goodness in everything, and bringing it out and giving it voice and giving it light is so empowering. And I wish that for everybody, that they can find that. I know for the longest time, people have often said, she's too quiet. Don't don't bother asking her about stuff. Or I had somebody at work once who said, I knock on a door of somebody's office too quietly, and that I'd never speak up. Oh, I can certainly speak up. However, my speaking up is not yelling. It's just it's you know that I'm you know that's just who I am. Doesn't mean I'm too quiet. It just means that I have a different presence. I hold and carry myself differently. And that's taken a lot of years to try and uncover and discover and be proud of. And I wish that for everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Darlene, to be proud of. And that was what I was speaking of, I think, is that idea that pride, like taking pride in ourselves is somehow bad. I think depending on how we're brought up, that we're told that we shouldn't like be proud. And I think that I love that idea of a superpower, of the thing that's maybe you consider a flaw as being your superpower. And I think people find that a lot, is the fact that something they consider to be a negative is really truly a positive for themselves. That quietness also allows you the ability to listen and to hear and to create perspective. And and I love this idea of space and time. We tend to move too fast through everything. One of the most powerful yoga classes I teach sometimes is where I time the poses. So for every pose we hold for a certain length of time. And it's really interesting, especially, if you've ever done yoga and you move from pose to pose to pose, all of a sudden to slow down and have to stay someplace and be in the quiet and kind of figure out how you feel in something. Like it's true exercise in slowing down and taking your time to be in something and to not rush from one, even in like a yoga practice or in a process of doing anything, from one step to the next too quickly or so quickly that you don't get to be where you are. And it's really interesting where your mind goes, what your feelings happen, what your body does, what you notice about your body. So that whole idea of noticing and paying attention and what you pay attention to and where your mind goes. I mean, it's just a powerful, powerful thing to do, no matter what you do, is to actually slow it down so that you slow the process down.
I
Well,
love. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Seamus. Go ahead.
sorry, Marjan. Yeah, sorry. When Darren was speaking, and thanks, John, for that as well. Like, it kept repositioning, like, and reimagining something we perceive as a weakness. It kind of reminded me of a person learning for me as well was the power of our perspective. So Darlene talked about doubt and questioning ourselves and our own ability and all the rest of it. And I put my hand up there as well. I was one of those people. But when you reimagine that and when you look at that from a different perspective, you see that your perspective matters. Your perspective actually is a gift, and you're not giving that gift when you retain it within yourself. So when you're noticing and when you're doubting maybe, and you're not allowing your perspective to be shared because you're holding yourself back and you think you're going to look stupid or you think it's going to be that's a crazy perspective. Who will ever resonate with that? But it's only when you actually, have the courage and the confidence to be able to express a view that's your heart held view, like from maybe that place of noticing, that place of confidence, then that is a game changer in terms of how it directs a conversation or how it opens up another perspective to another person. So if you didn't have the courage to share a perspective, your experience, from your perspective, from your experience, you're withholding a gift to another person. Like it's like not giving a Christmas present or, to someone on Christmas morning. It's like, every opportunity to share your experience is a gift to another person. And I think that is a big game changer. I think personally, again, for me, is realizing the obligation, I think, really that I have to respectfully share my perspective, to listen, to understand another person's perspective, but also to that process of dialogue, which Otto Scharmer often talks about in the U model, in U theory, which is about the power of dialogue. And dialogue begins from that honest noticing and that honest sharing of a perspective that allows a conversation to go where it would have never gone had we not had the courage to kind of share and gift our perspective, I suppose. So again, that's I think another superpower that remains dormant. I think for many people, we hold back our perspective, but in doing that, we dishonor our our one of our true gifts, I suppose, of our the expression of our service and expression of what we really care about, you know?
Beautiful, Seamus. And Mary Jane, you wanted to go, so I'll wait.
Well, it's just funny because was speaking sort of to how my thought process was kind of working as we're having the conversation, and I love this idea about it's like a taking responsibility for our gifts, like really owning those gifts and how learning how to use them for impact. And I don't mean a negative impact, of course. I mean in the sense of using those gifts not only to do these things for ourselves, but also to uplift and empower and affirm other people as well, so that they can see those gifts in themselves as well. So thank you, Seamus, for speaking to reading my mind and speaking some of the things I was thinking as well. So thank you for that.
And that kind of brings it all together. Like as we all sit here and we share, um, there is this feeling of, I wrote down creation and creativity because I think that we create something new. And that has to do with this moment, that we're all here, we're present, we're sharing authentically. And even if we tried and we came together tomorrow, it would not happen absolutely the same. And so when we go into interaction with other people, if we could look at it like that, like our contribution is creating something new for myself, being the one who says it, and then hearing everybody else, and for everybody, the other person that sits across, or the other people that sit across, like everyone is forever changed in that. And I think when we look at it like that, it's this like that we're all impacted in some way by what each one of us has shared today. There's something that's so like it's like creating some sort of painting or running poem that happens if we get sort of visual or artistic in it, which this is a true art, is this creation that we're creating, this conversation, because each one of us brings a different color to to the tapestry or to the painting.
I love that you're speaking the art language.
I love speaking in art language because I'm a visual person, so
I know.
I can imagine it. Like I think of that tapestry, you know, the old, or I have a really close friend who's a weaver, does beautiful work, has a loom, and just the weaving of all the threads together. And it's that whatever the end result of whatever she's creating, that's just so beautiful. And each thread is integral to that piece. Because if you took out one thread, it would be unraveled. Darlene.
You are speaking my language this morning. I just literally yesterday morning I had a conversation with one of my clients, and we were talking about how, that piece of I love the tapestry image, Jen, because that's what we were talking about, that thread is embedded and woven into the fabric of this tapestry. And at some points, it might be bold and really out there. That, say, for example, the color blue might be out there and really bold, and you can see it and you can distinguish it. And then that piece might be a little woven a little thinner, and it might kind of be alongside something else and really complement something else, and then it might be hidden underneath, it might be woven underneath. It doesn't mean it's not there. It's just that it comes out in different times as it ebbs and flows, as we ebb and flow, as our strengths ebb and flow, as we grow, as we have conversations, as we allow ourselves the openness, and we continue as human beings to provide these open spaces to explore our humanity here. And I said, it's never gone. Your parts of you are never gone. They just sometimes are a little bit quieter, and then they're a little bit louder, and each has its place, and that's what makes it. I love that the visual there, right? That makes it that beautiful tapestry piece that if you didn't weave it together, it would be nothing. It would just be thread on the ground.
Absolutely. And thank you, Darlene, for even kind of perpetuating or amplifying that image. Because it reminds me of like, when you have a tapestry, one thread may be worn, but the other threads kind of hold it together. And I think that that's what happens as, that's what it means to be a community or to carry people. It's just that, at times, depending on times of life or seasons of life, things change and the dynamics can change temporarily. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like you're asked to kind of step up and to provide a stronger thread for a moment. And then the time will come where you need those surrounding threads to kind of carry you at times when you have something going on. And that's the true reciprocity of, friendship or collaboration, or a community of people that support each other is that, you know, a strong, those really dynamic and strong connections that we have. And it's only in those strong connections, it's like being authentic with what we're going through that happens. Al, please.
Yeah, the superhero subject is very powerful. When you talk about superhero, there's so many things that miracles are within ourselves that we can't imagine. Yeah. So basically, the word hero for me is an acronym for healing, energize, revitalize organs. So when we think of our own system within ourselves, our body, we can do wonders. Sometimes when we self meditate and all that, we heal our own self from within, energize it, and revitalize it. So all our organs are very active, and it's like all the molecules and the atoms are moving around our own body, and it creates all the super power within us. So if sometimes we don't have enough sleep, we are too weary, on our day's job or whatever we do. Our minds are still active, we are still moving around, and we can always sit down and meditate, and we energize the whole body system by just doing a self meditation, and the superpower within us are activated. So in that way, this will create our entire body. I mean, sometimes we do not need the external side, even though external they might have a good positive if you have a group meditation practice and that, but in case you don't have that support from the outside group, then of course self meditation in that way will also assist you, in making ourselves more powerful. And each of us have the super character within us, like what Mary Jane was saying, Superman, Wonder Woman, uh, Wolverine, X-Men, anything, anything you want, you can achieve, Like the saying, uh, for every whatever the mind can conceive and believe can achieve. So this is the super mind power that we have. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Al. And I think that there is that ability that when we pause and we reflect, or when we meditate ourselves, we tap into that inner superpower much more, like our inner strength, so much more, you know, I don't want to like easily in a lot of ways. I think when we turn off the noise from the outside, we have the ability to see it. Um, it gets clouded by, you know, by the volume of everything around us, and we get distracted. So yes, it is very powerful to practice with a group of people, and you can feel that energy and the connection that you have to everything in settings like that. But you have the ability to do it on your own too. Thank you for sharing the acronym too, of course, Al, as always.
Yeah, and just on that, Jam, like I'm from a tech background, like, and again, the signal to noise ratio, and again, it's just exactly like that. When you reduce the noise and you can hear it, you can get to experience or see the quality of the actual original signal, So noise interferes this, and hides the purity of the core signal, and you could say like our signal is our superpower, and the noise around us really diminishes our ability to be able to to identify our own superpower because we're so distracted in a noisy environment, like outside and inside. But when we create that space and really notice, we can diminish the noise, like literally like a filter. Oh, the space allows me to see the signal, the pure quality of that signal. Again, that's just what was coming up for me you know, just that simple term, noise and the signal, like, you know. And again, I think that's where each of our individual perspectives comes in. We're noticing, you know, how that plays into, like Darlene looked at the power of the metaphor around the thread and the tapestry. And I think it's just, again, it's an interesting observation now as I'm sharing this, that we each have the opportunity to be able to actually make sense of and apply and share metaphors, what works for us and from our own individual experience. That again is a gift to everyone else to be able to actually, you know, provide a metaphor that maybe resonates or doesn't, but at least we're sharing it, and maybe there's someone else in their life that would, you know, get that metaphor better than we would, or whatever. So I think it's just interesting, again, just in the moment when you share, and through the power of sharing, the immediate payback of that. And I think that's another super, like a property of operating and honoring our superpower, is the immediate payback that delivers for ourselves and for everyone else we're engaged with, I guess, in that moment, you know.
Absolutely. And I love that, Seamus, the way you shared that, because I do think that it is through whatever story, metaphor, that we have the greatest impact, and that you might share something. And I think that we've all experienced that, that you hear something from someone and you could have heard it before, but it didn't resonate with you or you couldn't relate to it. And then all of a sudden somebody shares it and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Or now I can feel like I feel that I understand that and I can kind of look at that in my own life. And so I think that that's the true gift, like you shared, that each one of us might relate in some way to a different metaphor or a different image in our minds. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, that totally resonates with me. Like I understand that. And sometimes it's through words, images, and we see that, you know, in the way we learn or the way kids learn. And you know, yesterday when Darlene, Mary Jane, and I had a meeting yesterday, and I think that's one of the problems in our school system is the fact that kids are expected to learn a specific way, and not all kids learn, as we know, not all people learn the same way, and not all people can relate to certain images in the same way. Darlene, please.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Jan, it all depends too on where we're at and where our capacity is, right? I know I've had experiences both myself before and with others where depending on where I'm at, you can tell me something and then a week later MJ can say something to me and a week later I can hear Seamus talking about it. And then it might not be until I hear Seamus the third time where because I'm in that right space to be able to receive it. And I'm in that place and space where I can allow it in and I can gift it in, that it actually sticks. So I think there's an opportunity here too for so many voices because you just never know when the way it's going to come, with the way you're putting it forward is going to be just that piece that resonates for somebody. And that is such a beautiful thing because we can all say it in our own unique way, in our own unique voice, and you never know where it's going to land.
Absolutely. And then sometimes it's the combination. It's like, you know, a word you say, Darlene, and then Mary Jane will say something. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like together, all of a sudden the puzzle gets put, like me with my puzzles, the puzzle gets put together. And you're like, oh, you know, now it resonates. Now I understand it. You know,
How
and then
beautiful is that, right?
that's right. And then sometimes not right away, right? It's like, so like a few days from now, all of a sudden something will happen and you'll be like, oh, that's what they meant. Like the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, you know, brilliant. Now I understand. And so that's also the gift because then it kind of ripples on afterwards where you realize that, you know, and then you're, sometimes you're blessed enough for people to come back to you afterwards and say, oh gosh, now I totally understand what you were saying because this and this happened. And it's the sharing of that sometimes in, you know, in reverse where you're like, where somebody comes back to you. And I think you realize sometimes the power of these conversations or what's happening, but also it reaffirms or kind of just kind of reestablishes it in yourself what what you were saying. Like it's a not that you need it, but it's like, oh yeah, like it kind of just penetrates, has a deeper penetration for yourself, a deeper belief in what you're saying, and there's truth there.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And I was just thinking, it was this thing about, recognizing, when somebody brings forth their own superpowers and sort of being it sort of resonating with you. I was just thinking in the literal sense of the comic book world. I mean, they don't always fight alone, do they? They often um you know bring along others with them that have their own superpowers that help them take on whatever needs to be taken on. And so why can't we be those, why can't we make our own um uh the Justice League is what's coming into my mind, but I know there's other
Love
ones.
that.
Why can't we be our own community of superheroes that bring our own strengths into the world? Avenger. There you go. Thank you, Darlene. I knew there was another one. I was like, it wasn't coming to me. But yeah, why can't we be that? We thank you, Seamus.
Love that
Fantastic work.
Fantastic Four.
We need more than four because there's more than four. But
Absolutely.
why can't we be the superheroes, not just of our own lives, but in somebody else's life? Because sometimes we need that perspective. We need those gifts that other people are bringing to the table to really help us grow and experience life more fully. So I love that. I love that we're creating this beautiful um, you know, group together, what of superheroes that are just in community, that are just making an impact on the world. So I love that.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, Mary Jane, because I'm like floored now. I love that because I never even I don't know why I wasn't thinking of it, but that's why you're here. As my
Yay!
day. No, because that's if you think about it, there are really no, I mean, most of the superheroes always had other superheroes. Like and I don't want to call them, but they always had a partner in a lot of in
Mhm.
more traditional, Batman and Robin, like they did not act alone. Um,
And even
you know,
Superman had Lois Lane, right?
that's right. That's right. And you had Batgirl and Batman and Robin. So you had that. Thank you. Oh, I love it, Ileana. Uh,
Love it.
but love it. And I think that that's so true. That's why, communities like this or other communities that we're in are so very important because we are that for each other. And and the gift also is these are spaces that we create, right? I talk a lot about that in the book that I um, collaborated on with Seamus that came out a few weeks ago, is like gathering in a garden of people or a group of people that are basically your fellow superheroes.
What a beautiful, see now here's my spatter moment. What a beautiful web we're weaving together.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it also speaks to the weaving that we were speaking of tapestry earlier,
Yes,
but
I know, I know, I know. The tendrils of the garden will go there.
yeah, there you go. I love it. I love, and really, I mean, you know, um humor and storytelling and compassion really are key elements to um helping extend what our superpowers are out into the world. So I love that we're creating this space and you know full of beautiful, heart-centered, and well-intentioned people.
Absolutely. And that in that way we ripple out change. Uh,
Absolutely.
that change, people feel comfortable enough and at home enough in who they are to be able to show up as they are.
What a beautiful power that has.
Hmm. Any final shares anybody would like to make? Any final thoughts? Ileana, please.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm a little bit late and I was kind of behind on my scripture readings, and why not to read them as much as you can to catch up, right? But thanks so much for this platform. My first time gathering with you guys. I'm all about the superhero. That's kind of my go-to logos, and I think that everyone has that superhero in them, and sometimes we just don't know what that power is. And if anyone, Jane, would like their own superhero, Spider Woman, mask out, just send me your profile picture and I'll make one up for you. Anyone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ileana. I might just do that.
Yeah, I like to say I work Monday through Thursday in policy government workforce stuff, and then on Friday and Saturday and Sunday I play with AI in order to keep my skills up at the same time. So yeah, send anyone send me their picture. I'll transform you into your own superhero.
Love it. Love it
And
so much.
and if superhero's not your thing, let me know and we'll work it out.
Okay, it sounds great. But whatever the character, like that sort of like image or persona, like visual of, you know, of what your super person might be, then that's just beautiful. And, maybe you do like a group photo, and then we have a group of super people. We have our own fantastic, however many.
Yeah, that would be great. And then I'll blast you.
You got it. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Ileana. It was really nice to have you in the space. It really was. Anyone else have anything? Mary Jane?
I just want to say thank you for bringing this loving perspective, and thank you for um, joining us in taking a look at your own inner superhero, because we know that it lives there. Just sometimes we may deny it, as some superheroes in the comics have done before too. So, just recognizing the space and sharing this your perspectives here. Thank you so much for that, and I look forward, Jan, to your meditation.
Well, thank you, Mary Jane. So, on that note, take a few moments, find a comfortable position. Feel free to stay seated, lie down, whatever allows you to feel both supported and at ease. Allow your spine to naturally lengthen, your shoulders to relax and to soften, and your eyes to gently close if that feels comfortable to you. Begin to notice your breath without changing anything. Simply observe. Notice the inhale and the exhale. Invite it to deepen a little bit. With each breath, give yourself full permission to be exactly as you are. Feel the support beneath you, the way the ground, the chair, the cushion holds you. You don't need to hold everything, not right now. Allow yourself to be held, supported, steady. Now bring your awareness inward. Turn gently toward your inner landscape without force, without expectation. Just notice what's here. Notice the feelings, the energy, the space within you that's calling for your attention. Now invite into your awareness a quality that feels natural to you, something you give or express with ease. It might be compassion, humor, deep listening, stillness, truth-telling, intuition. It might be something you don't even think of as a superpower. because it comes so effortlessly. Let this quality rise in your awareness like a soft light. Notice how it lives in you, not just in thought, but in the way you move through the world. This is your superpower, and it is real. It may have been overlooked by others. It may have even been questioned or misunderstood. And at times, it may have challenged you, leaving you feeling too sensitive, too strong, too different, too much. But this is your gift, a part of your essence, a light that makes a difference, even when no one else sees it. Breathe into this truth. Feel it settle in your bones. Let yourself belong to this gift. Now, silently or softly, offer yourself this affirmation. I honor the strength within me. I embrace my gifts, their light, their edges, and their truth. I am authentic. I am powerful. I am enough. Let the words echo inside of you. Feel them settle like ripples on a still lake. I embrace my gifts, their light, their edges, and their truth. Take a few more deep, steady breaths. Inhale possibility and exhale anything that no longer serves you. And when you feel ready, begin to return. Bring gentle movement to your fingers, your bones, your toes. Notice the room around you, the sounds, the temperature of the air. Allow your eyes to open slowly, bringing this grounded awareness with you. You are here. You are whole. You are powerful. And remember that no cape is required. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Take a moment over the next weeks to connect with Mary Jane and I. If you're not a member of our Spirit Born Imaginings Facebook group and LinkedIn group, we'll pop, look for those links. Let's see what else. We have 3 workshops coming up in the fall that we have packaged together called Soul Spark. And so there's a lot of information online about those. We would love to have you join us. What else? That we're still going to be here each week, as far as we know. So unless one of us sleeps through it. and
Almost.
so we'll be here next Friday. We're also, all the sessions are recorded and put on our YouTube channel. So if you feel so inclined, you can, watch, share, like, whatever resonates with you. And so until next week, we are so like honored and feel so blessed to have each and every one of you with us each week. Until next week, many blessings. Lots of love.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And now go out there and save the world, you superheroes.
Yes, absolutely. Throw on that cape, even if it's invisible.
Even better.
Even better, exactly.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Seamus.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Darlene.
Have a good day.
To infinity and beyond.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Al.
Bye bye.